Yes. It's the Mandem Link Up Show. I'm the host with the most, the MYTHMANE. Hey, listen, it's a link up collaboration. I'm here with two legends from I Hear That podcast. Mandem, introduce yourselves.
Hey, I'm Aaron from I Hear That, and joined here with my co-host, or one of them, I should say.
Shorts, from I Hear That.
From Barbados.
Pleasure being here, man.
Definitely. The link up's been pending, and I'm with another legendary guest across the pond, the Flat Earth Day specialist. How you telling me?
Across the pond. Welcome to Flat Earth. Are we done?
I can carry on.
Why didn't you say across the spinning, curving ball? Which is crazy.
Across the globe, innit? Across the globe.
Yeah.
All right. So cool. Today's topic is the Earth flat or is it curved? Now, being so that I've started this before, I'm going to introduce the floors to I Hear That podcast teams, and you lot can tell me if you think it's flat or curved.
And I just want to throw in one starting thing. I just want the audience to notice that what I have behind me is actual footage from 120,000 feet, and you have a cartoon behind you of a globe floating in space. So the question I ask people is, when did you learn about space, and did they show you anything other than cartoons? And we'll find the answer to that as we talk. So Go ahead.
Well, personally, for me, as I said before, I feel that the Earth has always been round, will forever be round, unless something happens to take us all out. It's always been round, and I just can't see. I can understand from certain perspectives that it may look like it's flat, but then there's other things to me that just contradict that fact. So I have to believe it's round.
All right. So there's two ways we can go. I say, why don't you tell me the things that make you think the Earth is a globe one by one, and we'll address them one by one.
Okay. All right, tell you what. All right, okay. So obviously, Aaron, you believe that the Earth is round as well, right?
Yeah, I believe the Earth's round. I think science has told me that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know other people would say otherwise. So, but as far as I'm aware, the Earth is as round as the sun is.
Just remember, science is a word. There are scientific things. Like money is a word. Like $10 billion. Does that mean I have $10 billion because I said it? No. Science. Does that mean I just did science? No. So when you say science, we're going to go over, let's just take turns. Like, I believe the Earth is a globe because you go, and then I'll respond.
All right. So I believe the Earth is a curve because every time I've been up in a plane, I can see the curvature. That's just the lowest entry level of evidence that I'm going to go with.
Yeah. Let me address that. That. So
he's got it ready.
So
the screen.
Everybody says, "Hey, I see the curvature from the airplane." One, there's two things that are happening. One, three things. You're expecting to see a curve. Two, the edges of the windows are curved. So if you're ever at an airport that has no obstructions to the horizon, look, you'll see that's curved also, right? And that's because you're looking through a curved window. The other thing is we see the same distance in all directions, okay? So when we're looking forward, we see X distance, and then at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, we see the same distance, and that draws a circle. That draws a circle, which creates our our horizon. So when you're looking forward, this is what you see. You see the same distance in all directions, and then you could think that's a curve of a ball, but it's just the limits of your eyes. So getting back, go ahead.
Sorry. So you're saying that, in effect, that the human eye would kind of look through a fishbowl kind of lens.
No, it's not even that. But yes, that is it. Our eyes are curved. But when you see the same distance, it's like putting your head in the middle of a hula hoop and having the hula hoop at your eye, at the level of your eyes. That is the limit of your vision and then that's a curve, and you could draw a straight line that'll make the sides of that look like they're going down, but they're really just coming around. But let's get by that. Neil deGrasse Tyson has moved the globe post many times. He used to say you can see it from an airplane. Then he says, oh, you have to be in a MiG fighter at 70,000 feet. Then we sent balloons up to 120,000 feet, and the horizon is flat and stationary at eye level. But this is what you'd have to believe. According to globe math, if you're cruising at 39,000 feet, the horizon at 39,000 feet should be 242 miles away. Okay. So on the Earth, 242 miles away would be a drop of 39,000 feet. Okay. So if you're on the Earth and you went out over the ocean 242 miles, there would be a drop of 39,050 feet. Well, you're already at 39,050 feet. So you have to believe that when you look out the left window and you look out the right window, that horizon that's at your eye level goes right to your eyes. It goes right across your eyes. And you have to believe that that horizon is 78,000 feet below you. You can't even fathom what 78,000 feet looks like. Okay. So saying you see the curve from an airplane is, I'm going to use a word and I'm not going to offend you, right? It's ignorance, right? I was there too. Okay. I was super ignorant on all of this stuff, but you are thinking you're seeing the curve. How was that good enough answer?
Well, yeah. So
go on,
Erica.
I have a question. I mean, it's maybe separate from it. But Dave, do you believe that the Earth and only the Earth is flat? What about the moon or the other planets surrounding us in our galaxy?
So let me ask you a question as I pull up my answer to that. Do you ever play pool, like the pool with the pool cue? Do you believe that the pool balls are round?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
Are you 100% sure?
Yeah.
Okay, so why is the table flat?
Because it needs a flat surface for the balls to roll along.
Okay. Well, the shape of the balls has nothing to do with the shape of the table. The shape of anything in the sky. Now, do I think the moon is round? Kind of. Do I think it's a solid object? Absolutely not. I'm going to show you 4 moons here. They all look like they're spheres. Is that one a sphere? Well, you saw half of it. Is this one a sphere? Before she grabs it, is that a sphere?
Well, yeah.
Okay, it looks like a sphere. I think it's a sphere, but guess what? I lied. I don't think it's a sphere because I've seen this. It's flat. So you can't say the shape or size of something until you can go there and touch it and measure it yourself. Okay. So saying that the other lights in the sky are spheres, that doesn't prove anything, and you really can't tell if they're spheres. I mean, if you look at Mars through today's optics, it's not the dusty, dirty orange ball that they show you. This is what Mars looks like when you zoom in on it. It looks like a pulsing orb of energy, and all of the planets are named after they used to be called wandering stars, but they're all named after gods. I mean, and then when you start looking at stars, this is the star Arcturus. This isn't a burning ball trillions and trillions of miles away, light years away, right? Here's a Capella. Totally not what they're telling us. This is what we see when we look, but when we listen and believe, we see the cartoons that they want to, tell us to believe.
Okay, I've got something to counteract that then. So in terms of a solar eclipse, how comes on a solar eclipse on the moon we see a curvature of the sun?
So here's a question for you.
Obviously, with the shadow side.
I'm going to tell you that's something you probably didn't know. Nobody, from any point of view, from the International Fake Station, from an airplane, from any observatory, from a high-flying airplane, from anything, no matter what kind of infrared, superpower zoom telescope, nothing. No one has ever seen the moon approach the sun. No one has ever seen the features of the moon when it's completely blocking the sun's light. And no one has ever seen the moon exit the sun. So what do we see? Go ahead.
You wouldn't see the moon's features when it's completely blocking the sun, because it's blocking the light.
Well, no, because when you see moonlight on Earth, right? When we're out and there's a full moon, it casts a shadow on the ground. You can read by it. You can drive your car with the lights off in the middle of nowhere because the moonlight is bright, right? It's bright enough to cast shadows on the earth. And that moonlight, they tell us, is coming from the sun reflecting off this dusty, dirty ball, all right? So the earth is 6 times bigger, arguably more reflective. So during a total eclipse, if you were on the moon looking at the earth, you see a full earth, like we see a full moon. So the amount of light going back to the moon is a minimum of 6 times brighter than the moon's light, and it doesn't light up the moon. No one's ever seen it, right? So when I share my screen in a little bit, I can show you some a video I made showing how I think a solar eclipse works. Again, I don't know, but I can replicate what we actually see, and it will blow your mind.
So Dave, if the sun is if science tells us that the sun is reflecting off of the moon, and then the moon is what creates that light for us on Earth, why is it that we can see particular sides of the moon in its orbit, but then some parts of it are darkened? And if it was flat, say for example, if the
I'm not saying it's flat.
Would you not? I'm not saying you are saying it's flat, but I'm just saying if we were saying the moon or was flat, would we say, why wouldn't we see? Are you telling me that certain planets are particularly round and then some are flat, or is it just the Earth that you believe is flat?
So the question that you're asking comes from a lifelong of indoctrination. You're assuming there's planets, all right? But the only time you've ever seen planets is when Disney and NASA, and I'm not sure which one's more credible, shows you their cartoons of planets. You've never seen a planet. Now, yes, I've taken telescopes and I've had access to an observatory for 4 years. And I looked at Mars. I looked Mars and Saturn really looks spherical with me with this ring around it. But it looks like it's its own light. It looks like it's emanating its own light. You know, if you go out at noon, during a sunny day and look at a rock and see if that's reflecting light that you think that you could see 238,000 miles away versus a light. Look at a round light. That's a light. That's what you would see in the sky. So how far is the moon? How bright is the moon? Well, when we look up on a moonlit night, you'll see that the moon only lights up the clouds that are right next to it. If the moon was 238,000 miles away, it would light up all of the clouds in the sky, but it doesn't. It only lights up the clouds that are right near it, which suggests very strongly that the moon is a local light.
Okay. And then wouldn't one say that, for example, like with the sunlight, in terms of obviously like different regions gets obviously depending on what the time span you get the sun, then one part of, like, let's say for example,
did you notice I brought this picture up before you even asked the question? So here's the sun. According to the way the moon is lit, the sun should be up here somewhere, right? Because this is the draw a straight line out from that. The sun should be up here, but it's over here. There's certain times of the month, every month, where the sun's light does not line up with the moon. And here's the clouds I was talking about. If the sun was 93 million miles away, and the moon is 238,000 miles away, this is the moon, it would light up all of these clouds. All of them would be lit. But this is just like a local light. Get a light, get a whole bunch of cotton balls, pillows, whatever you want, and hold it near them, and it'll light up in the dark. It'll light up just the ones near it. Move it away, and it will light all of them up. The moon and the sun that we see is a local light. So you're asking about the why we only see one side of the. Did you ask about why we see only one side of the moon, or did I jump forward? Go ahead. Sorry.
I can't remember. I think that was Aaron.
It was Aaron, but I think.
Go ahead.
It was a question on us afterwards.
Yeah, it was just in terms of the sunlight. Obviously, each region has their own time span when the sun shines on that particular area.
Yeah.
So then, if it was completely flat, and what you were saying in terms of obviously the sun being as big as it is, how comes not everyone doesn't get the same sunlight at the same time? If it was completely flat, as you say.
So go in a big.
To show that if it goes around. Like you said in the previous episode, that the Earth goes in circles or in a rotation.
The Earth
So
doesn't
if it was
move.
completely flat, or
Right.
say okay. So what goes around the Earth then?
The sun,
in terms of the sun.
The sun is within the Earth system and it circles around the Earth. And the reason that you can't see the sun is simply due to perspective. Okay. When the sun moves away, these clouds all get merged into the horizon. Even when there's no clouds at that distance, the air becomes opaque and the sun just moves beyond it. It doesn't go down, it just moves beyond it. Did I show the demonstration with my flat Earth kitchen? Let me explain. So here's my flat Earth kitchen. This line is level. Would you guys say it's level? Looks level. I proved it in the video that it's level, but it is level. Here's my counter. It's kind of in the dark. And I'm moving the sun along it, and we're watching it from a celestial point of view. And it's going to go by this. This could be mountaintop, tree, a horizon, hills, or it could just be a cloud deck, but it's above it. This is opaque. It never drops below it. Now I'm going to show you the same thing from the other end, from a terrestrial point of view. The camera is on the counter right now. And if I showed you this first, and I said, is this level? You would say, no, it's not. And then I would say, is this sun going below this thing that's at our eye level now? And you'd be like, yes, it is. It's going lower than it. And it's not. And now look at it. I zoomed in. It's going almost, it looks like it's going straight down. You would never believe this is level if I didn't show you first. And now I'm going to compare this to a real sunset. So here's my sun following a level line. Well, here's the other sun. It went down like this. And look, what's it going behind here? You think that's the horizon. This is the atmospheric deck of opacity. And if I zoomed out, the distance between this line that it's going behind and the apparent horizon would merge together, and you wouldn't even be able to see it with your naked eye. And that's how the sun sets.
So would you say that's like it's similar to, like, for example, if you're if you're at the seafront and you see like a cruise ship further out, and it looks like as if, like, obviously the viewpoint of it is going smaller and smaller. Mm-hmm. Some will say that the reason why it's going smaller and smaller, obviously, is because it's going on a curvature type. But you're obviously counteract to saying that.
So some people would say that there's no boats out here, that this boat went over the horizon. So I'm zooming in, and here's the boat. So now I'm going to show it in reverse. I'm going to zoom in. You can see the entire side of the boat, and it's going to disappear for two reasons. Its angular size is going to get smaller than the closer little waves angular size. So it starts dipping behind that apparent horizon, and it looks like it dips below the horizon. But the fact that I can zoom in on it proves that it's not below the horizon. Now, we've done many, many, many measurements where we can zoom in on things that should be hundreds of feet, thousands of feet, miles below the curvature, and we can still see them. So that proves right there that what you're seeing is an optical thing and not curvature. So, and like this, if one of you walked around this hallway and walked around the corner, and I stood right here, no matter how powerful of a zoom lens I had, I can't see you because you're hidden behind a physical curve. Flip that over. We'll pretend that's the curve of the Earth. If, Bill Nye, the lion guy with the bow tie, he says, the Earth is curved, and that's why boats disappear from the bottom. Well, he's assuming Earth is curved, because if it was curved, yes, boats would disappear from the bottom up. But there's other reasons, optical reasons. We can, with using science, actual math, actual observations, see that we can see too far. Not a little too far, a lot too far. So here, the radius of the Earth, they tell us, and which is a made-up thing, is just under 4,000 miles. So if my arm was the radius of the Earth, from my elbow is the center of the Earth, my fingertips are the top of the Earth, and I go like this is the curve of the Earth with a 4,000 mile radius. The math that we do tells us how far we can see. Well, we have observations that we can see things where the radius, which they tell us is 4,000, would have to be over 250,000 miles long. If the Earth was a ball, the ball would have a radius over 250,000 miles versus the 4,000 that they tell us. That's science. That's actual science provable. And they just go, refraction. Refraction lifts everything magically up to eye level. This is a viewing spot in Illusion, France. Very famous spot because twice a year, you look out here, and Mount Canigou's out here, but you can't see it because it's 175 miles away from this viewing height to the top of Mount Canigou. According to globe math with a 4,000-mile radius, the top of Mount Canigou should be over a mile below the curvature, and the glober will tell you this is the curvature. But on 2 times a year when the sun is migrating in between the tropics and it lines up with this viewing spot on Mount Canigou, you can see it. Now, the light bouncing off of Mount Canigou every other day, that light can't push through the thickness of the atmosphere because it's not bright enough. But the sun is bright enough. It's not reflected light. It's a direct light. And as it moves beyond, looks like it's going down, like in my kitchen example, you can see Mount Canigou, the entire mountain. Now, people say, well, the bottom, part of the bottom is missing. That's compression. I could show you how that works because things down low get compressed, but it doesn't matter. The top should be a mile below the curve, and it's not. Okay. And the glober explanation, if you want to believe in the globe, you have to believe that the sun and Mount Canigou are already set and a mile below the curve, and that the light is bouncing up and stopping at eye level. That is friggin' ridiculous. And that's what you have to believe if you're going to defend the ball.
Okay, cool. So we've discussed about, obviously, the sun, the moon. In terms of if you think that Earth is flat, what structure is the Earth inner core? If it's completely flat, because Earth must have a core.
Earth must have a core. Who taught you that? Did this meme teach you that? Is this what made you believe that? Because the deepest hole ever dug is short of 8 miles. Let's put that into scale. And they hit an impenetrable barrier. They could not get any lower. They tried for years. So less than 8 miles is the deepest hole that's ever been dug, ever. And when they were digging that hole, they used ground penetrating radar to see what they were going to hit next. And guess what? That ground penetrating radar, they should have gotten a refund because it was wrong every step of the way. There's no more water. There's no more rocks. Bam, they hit water. They hit rocks. Okay. So it was wrong. So that's equivalent to drilling halfway through this thin skin of an apple, being wrong every step of the way on what was in that skin, and then knowing what the next 4,000 miles is. That's pseudoscience. This is ridiculous. A molten metal magnetic core, magnets lose their magnetism before they melt. So that's another thing they're just laughing at us with. This is a meme, and there's zero evidence of it. Zero.
Okay, because the reason why I brought it up, because I've done some research, and so apparently the Egyptians back in the day claimed that the Earth was on a disc flat with a endless sea around it. But then the Mediterraneans, a philosopher called Alex Amanda, thought that the Earth was a short cylinder with a flat top. So
what is
that it's flat, but
yeah, what is beyond Antarctica? What's below us? I don't know. Let's try to figure it out. I don't know, but we're not a spinning ball flying through, a space elevator. A space vacuum, not an elevator. Sorry.
To go to that, do you think there's an end to the Earth, Dave? Is there a drop-off point?
So let me answer that clearly. Is anything beyond 60 degrees south is speculation. You can spend $20,000 to $50,000 and go to this little peninsula. They'll show you some penguins, some ice. They'll kick you out. No one is allowed to explore out here. Antarctica is bigger than all of the oceans and all of the continents combined. What? Right? Antarctica is not a continent at the bottom of a ball. They tell us Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. It is the highest average elevation on Earth. Okay? They don't really go over that in school. That's because large bodies of water, anything bigger than a bucket of water, needs a container. A drop will kind of contain itself, some sort of, but try getting a bucket of water and making it turn into a ball. It doesn't happen. So you get rid of the bucket, the water's gone. You get rid of the edge of a lake, the water's gone. If you get rid of the edge of a giant lake, the water's gone. If you get rid of the edge of the ocean, the water's gone. Okay. Antarctica is the shoreline that surrounds our world pond. Okay, it's not the ice wall like in the Game of Thrones. And, Admiral Byrd went out here, said he found a continent bigger than the United States, filled with resources that no human has ever set eyes upon. And then, bam, the next year or the same year, they made it off limits. Nobody can go to Antarctica. No one can even question about going to Antarctica until the year 2041. It's the only treaty that is ever held up. All the nations in the world defend that treaty, but we're going to war over resources, over lands, over everything. Land bigger than the United States, unclaimed. Okay, that's friggin' ridiculous, right? So what's out there? The Japanese think that there's other continents out there. I don't know. Maybe it's set up like this. Maybe there's other suns out here, right? And this is Antarctica, maybe 1,000 miles or so, whatever. And he flew out to this continent. Maybe this would be extra territory from outer space, extraterrestrials from outer space, right here on Earth. The outer space, not cosmic, ridiculous outer space, which is scientifically provably impossible.
Okay, so I just want to say something, Dave. That
you're a flat earther, and is that what you want to say?
No,
you want to say, Dave, you're right. I'm throwing in the towel right now. Let's go have a beer. I'm pretty sure that's what you're going to say.
You know what it is, right? I've noticed, and I don't know if you do it on purpose, but I've noticed that the last couple of questions that the guys have asked, you haven't given a yes, no.
All right, well, ask the question again. Let me give you a more solid answer.
Okay, all right. Yeah, we could do that. But what I've said is that you repeat the question and then you throw up on your slides.
Well,
now,
the question is, do I think the Earth is endless? Is that what the question was?
I think there was a few questions.
But even based on that question alone, if the Earth is endless, you just proven to the fact that we don't know if it is based on that image that you got right there.
We don't know
as well.
I don't know. I'll tell you what I think.
You don't know at the end of that it might be a curvature.
I don't know.
Well,
but if there's curvature, then there would have to be curvature here also. Large bodies of water at rest lay flat, and if the Earth's diameter, the Earth's radius, center to the outside, is bigger than 250,000 miles, we have another problem. Okay, we have an equally as big problem. They're lying to us about that. Makes the Earth 50 times bigger. Okay, so that I'll equate that to just as big of a problem. Water doesn't bend at rest. Large body of water at rest doesn't bend. It's flat.
So you reckon that the edge of the Earth is almost like a plate, or like a flat plate, and if you was to somehow make it to the end of the end of the Earth, you just drop
not at all. 100% not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is Antarctica is the shoreline of the Earth. It could go on for a billion miles. I don't know. Maybe there's other ponds out there. Maybe the Earth plane is an endless or extended plane. And there's other worlds which have circling suns that have melted out puddles. Okay. So there's a lot of people are looking into this theory about the bigger Earth. And I highly recommend that you guys watch this video and I'll tell you about it. So this is a reflection or reversed image of the moon. Why am I showing you a reverse image of the moon? Because all of the continents, all of the little islands, everything matches up with the Earth. And so this is our known world. And our North Pole is right here on this red line. The shoreline of Antarctica is this outer white line. And all of this is frozen. Okay. So this is the known world. Our North Pole is migrating around this line every 25,000 years. Okay. And our sun migrates around the North Pole. And so as in 12,000 years from now, it'll be over here, and this will be our known world, and everything over here will be under an ice age. And that's why they're finding, things under the ice in Antarctica, that there's maps of Antarctica. Antarctica is just the edge of where we're talking, where there's ancient ruins underneath the ice of Antarctica. So this fully explains that. It's fascinating, and I'll show you where to find it. And again, we don't know. We're investigating. Flat earthers know that they don't know a lot of things, but we also can scientifically, real science, prove we're not a spinning ball in a space vacuum, because that's physically impossible.
So what makes you feel like the Earth, if it is flat, a circular sphere?
Say that, ask that again, please.
So like that image right now is obviously a circle. So what makes you feel like the Earth is a complete flat circle?
I don't know. Maybe it goes on beyond that, but this is what we can see, because this appears to be, this is out there. This appears to be a map of our known, of our full Earth, and then the green area is our known Earth of this time. In 12,000 years, this area will be our known Earth. What's out here? I don't know. Because this is the only map that we have.
How did humanity discover that was the Earth?
Because somebody, and again, I'm going to point you to the video that'll teach you about this. They photographed the moon. They started looking at it and mapping it up. Like, okay, you can make, that kind of looks like the United States. That kind of looks like Australia. But when you line it up, it lines up. It's too friggin' good. It's too friggin' good. It's crazy. And when I first heard about this, I'm like, no frigging way. No way. No way. So what is the moon? I don't know, but it has a lot to do with the Earth. It's all part of the same system. Is the moon the projector of energy into our Earth? I don't know. This is stuff that we're trying to figure out. But this map is crazy. And once you watch this video, it's a 5-hour video. And when someone sends me a 5-hour video, my videos are all under 5 minutes. If I do put out a 5-minute video, people accuse me of making a documentary because they know my style. And so when people send me this, I'm like, I'm not watching. Enough people send it to me. And then one night it was like 11 o'clock. And I was just doing some stuff and I had nothing to listen to. I said, let me put this on for 10 minutes. 4 a.m. I finished. And I'm just like, holy crap. And I've watched it 3 times since then. Okay,
quick question then.
Go.
So I'm going to go back to outer space. So that in terms of satellites, obviously they've been shown to move around the Earth on a 3D symmetrical movement pattern.
They have?
Well, I'm going to say that I believe that they move on a 3D spherical movement.
Yeah.
Comparison, obviously, with the Earth. Different. So are you going to say that it's the same thing with a plane, that a satellite is just going straight?
No, I'm gonna point to you how utterly ridiculous the idea of satellites falling around a spinning Earth are. No offense, because I used to believe in them too. When I would go on vacation down in the Caribbean, I would look up at the sky at night and like, there's a satellite, and I could see these lights. And I believe that I can see them. But the idea of being able to see a satellite at the distances they are, it's ridiculous. You can't see it. It's too small. Its angular size is way too small. But that's not even the bigger problem. So you believe that all of these satellites are falling around the Earth. And a geostationary satellite, let's say this one is a geostationary satellite, that one is matching all of the movements of the Earth. Okay, it has to stay over the same piece of land all of the time. That's called a geostationary satellite. You with me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So a geostationary satellite has to stay over the same piece of land. So the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. So to be a geostationary satellite, I have to be spinning faster than 1,000 miles an hour, matching that spin, matching it, right? The Earth is also orbiting at 66,000 miles, speeding up and slowing down, speeding up and slowing down. So while I'm matching that spin with the spin of the Earth, I'm also matching its 66,000 mile rotation speed around the sun. I'm also matching it chasing the sun at 500,000 miles per hour. Okay. And somehow I magically stay in the perfect position. Let's just talk about those speeds for a second. This is the hypersonic sled, Mach 8.6. Watch it. You won't be able to see it. Okay. It'll go again. So the slower speed, not the one chasing the sun, we're orbiting the sun 10 times faster than this. Okay. We're also chasing the sun 90 times faster than that. Speeding up and slowing down, changing directions, going around and around. So we're moving in two different directions, 110 and 190 times faster than that. Okay. And you believe that satellites can magically fall around the Earth and maintain their orientation to where they're supposed to be, maintain their spot over the same land. You believe that a lake can remain calm like this. I challenge you, get a dinner plate, fill it with water while you're driving in a car on a nice, straight, smooth road, and have that car speed up, slow down, or turn the slightest bit, and tell me what happens to that water. But you believe that we're orbiting, we're going 10 times faster in one direction, we're chasing it at 90 times faster, and we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, and we have lakes that look like this.
But that was that.
Yeah, sorry,
I was gonna even just say, with gravity again, if we used to put a plate on the top of a car and drive at a constant speed, that the water in that plate is going to stay where it is because it's at a constant speed.
Okay, first it won't, because it'll blow out because it doesn't have a dome over it. It's not enclosed. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Well, are we enclosed? Are we enclosed? Not on your ball. And here's the other thing is, let's say you're driving that car 100 miles an hour and you have a dome over it to protect it from the wind, and the car is going perfectly 100 miles an hour. Now you got to remember that we're spinning, that's a curve. We're orbiting, that's a curve, and we're chasing the sun on its curved course. So we're curving in three different directions at once. Turn that car the slightest bit, the water leaves the plate. Okay, it's ridiculous.
So what about water that's in a bag that's filled with air, so like compressed air? So if water was filled in a bag with compressed air, if it's on a plate on a car that's going at a constant speed, you don't think that
water will slosh around in a bottle, in a compressed air bottle? It doesn't matter. Water is going to move when you move. And by the way, the Earth does speed up and slow down. It's not a consistent speed. And when you're going at a consistent speed and you turn, that's considered acceleration. That force that you feel when you turn left and your body goes to the right, that's acceleration, even though you're going the same speed. Okay. This is impossible. Impossible.
So hold on. So the Earth is going constantly around. Now, obviously, if the
Earth is not going around, the Earth is stationary.
So Earth is stationary, but somehow the sun is going around the Earth.
Somehow,
based on your diagram,
somehow the sun is going around the Earth. That is true, but I don't believe that the sun that we see is a physical sun. Let me share a video, and it's like a 2-minute video, and let me walk you through it. And now it's going to go back to the eclipse, and it's going to show you how I think that the sun that we see is not a physical sun. And let me quickly tell you the story that led me to this. I was in Las Vegas at a conference, and it was like 3:30 in the afternoon. And the sun was setting on my right side, and I'm sitting there next to the pool, and the sun is hot. You ever been to Las Vegas? It's friggin' hot, okay? And the sun is beating on the right side of my face. I'm like, I'm going to be burned on my right side. I should go and turn around. But then 100 yards to my left was the hotel, and it was one of those mirrored window hotels, and the sun had lined up with one of the mirrors perfectly. And I looked, and it looks just like the sun, of course, because it's a mirror. But the heat that was coming off of that reflection was so strong. So I closed my eyes, knowing that the reflected sun's over there and what I call the real sun is over here. And I said, if I didn't know, if someone spun me around and I didn't know which way I was facing, could I tell which one was the real sun? And I could not. It was equally as hot. So can a reflection transmit heat? Absolutely. I just proved it. Is the sun that we see a reflection? So let me share my app here. You guys have seen my app, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to go into the frequently asked questions, and I'm going to click eclipses. I'm going to hit open, and up comes a playlist. You guys can see that? Is it all showing right?
Yeah.
All good.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So where is it? All right. So how can I make that bigger? There we go. So on the right is an eclipse that I filmed, looked at it without sunglasses, and it was a hazy day. So there's the solar eclipse, and you can't see the moon, whatever's eclipsing it. And on the left is me simulating an eclipse using a paper towel and a rear projection of a light source and a circle that was eclipsing it. Now, the eclipse is going on right here, but it's all blown out. You really can't tell. This is a lens flare, and up there is, what is that? It's not moving around with the camera. It's staying locked in its position to the sun. Now, the sun is eclipsed this much. It's just blown out. Just remember that. So if I put a filter in front of it, I would be able to see it, but I wanted all the light in there. So if I use a solar filter, I wouldn't be able to see this thing. So what is this? Is this the source of what we're seeing? Something that's within or above the firmament? So I'll show you how I did my little experiment. Let me just jump forward. All right. So what is that if it's not a lens flare, right? It's very strange. And everyone was thinking about this for a super long time. So here comes, now I'm showing you how I did this. The sun, that's the sun that we see. That's the eclipse that we see, but it's not the real thing. It's a projection. So there's my source sun, and there's my unlit moon or body that is eclipsing the source of the sun. And it looks just like the eclipse. But now, what about that little light? What was that? So I said, hey, you know what? Maybe the sky screen, I call it, is more transparent than a paper towel. So I used toilet paper, right? Thinner. I need a thinner tissue. So I did the same thing with a thinner piece of cloth in my sky screen, and watch what happens. Look, you can see the source of the projection. This is the sun that we see, and this is the projector behind. And if you compare it to what we actually saw during an eclipse, it looks exactly the same.
So you saying we almost live in almost like the Truman Show?
The True Man Show? The true, are you talking about the True Man Show? That, you know,
with Jim Carrey, you know,
I'm with you.
In a world where it's, you know, yeah.
So that is a flat Earth movie, just for your information. But we're not trapped. I don't believe that we're trapped. Like, because people say, "Oh, the Truman Show, that's a prison, just like the ball." Because the ball is a prison for your mind. They don't want you thinking beyond the ball, because if you do, you might manifest a life for yourself that they don't want you to know about. Okay, they have limited our thoughts. Our thoughts create our reality. Everything each one of you have in your life is by the way that you think. And now, if you think you live on a ball, your thoughts are limited. You're in a prison. You no longer have expansive thoughts. Okay. Now, you can think about space, but you know in your lifetime that you'll never get there. So you've limited your possibilities versus looking at, you know, what this world could be. I believe that there's people that have migrated outwards beyond Antarctica, civilizations, advanced civilizations that are out there, that we have been hijacked by Satanists that are running this inner ring. And they are controlling our minds with the tell-lie vision programming. They're poisoning our bodies with everything that you guys are probably aware of. And they're controlling us with their monopoly money. Okay? They're controlling us with you guys need money, right? So you know the game Monopoly, you guys play it, right? Go read the rules. It says if the bank runs out of money, just write some more money on some blank paper and keep playing. That's what we're playing with. They don't need money. They need money to control us. They need us to limit our understanding of who we are, where we are, what we are, and the power of our minds. They want us to think that we're crazy flat earthers and that we're alone. Let me show you something really quick. We're not alone, because I'm proving it big time. Where is it? I'm going to share my app again just real quick. This is the.
I've got a quick question though. Yeah. So what about the ozone layer then? If the ozone layer obviously protects us from the obviously the sun rays from the obviously the heat rays from the sun, how condensed is the ozone layer? And do you even believe that even exists?
I think there's an ozone layer. Sure, works perfectly in a container. You know, air pressure only works in a container. You can't have pressure without a container. By the way, these dots that I'm showing you. This is after just 3 days of this app being running. Each one of those dots is another person, okay, that knows the Earth is flat. They're everywhere. And if you click on one of the dots, you can send them a message. You can send them a text message, right? This is connecting all of us all over the world. And this is just less than 10% of the people that have my app. And I'd say the number of flat earthers that have my app are probably less than 1%. Okay. They're everywhere. So I'm not crazy alone. Look at Europe. It's insane what's going on in Europe. All right. You zoom in, these dots just keep separating. It's a little slow right now because I got so many dots in there, but I'm actually adding Google clusters where when you're in a zoomed out position like that, you'll have big bubbles. Let's say there's 200 in this bubble, and you zoom in, those will break into 50 bubbles. And you zoom in, those will break into 5 bubbles, and then you go in. Then it goes into smaller single bubbles. But as you zoom in, you see where these people are, so you can find other flat earthers near you, get together, and have these discussions face to face. You don't need me anymore. Okay.
I know, but I got one question, because you know what it is, yeah? It's like I'm trying to understand your concept theory of why the Earth is flat, but I know, like, it's just not making sense. So if someone was to say, Dave, what is your fundamental reason as to why the Earth is flat? How would you be able to sum that up into one answer?
We can see too far. You can't have high pressure without a container. Period. Scientifically provable. The stars, the size that they tell us all these things are, make no sense at all. We can go over the numbers, but most people just short circuit when we do that. You could not see Polaris at 6 light days away. Scientifically provable. I could do all the math, show you. It's not anything that you can argue with because it's scientifically provable. 6 light days away. 6 light days. What's a light day? The distance light travels in a day. Okay. So they tell us Polaris, the size that it is, do the math, and you can prove that its angular size is too small, forgetting the brightness issue, because it would have to be so bright, it's an impossible brightness. At 6 light days away, you can't see it, and they tell us it's 433 light years away. I'm sorry, I'm not going to believe nonsense when I can scientifically prove you can't see something. It's scientifically provable that you can't see a penny. I think it's 100 yards or 200 yards or whatever it is. At a certain distance, its angular size gets smaller than your ability to resolve it, okay, with your eyes. And that's the same thing with anything. Like with my hand moves away, it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. At a certain point, you won't be able to see it, okay? That has to do with angular size and perspective. You believe, you ever look at a 747 flying in the air at cruising altitude? It's tiny. It's tiny. It's smaller than a pencil eraser held at arm's length. Okay. And if you doubled the height of that, do you think you could see it? It's scientifically, mathematically provable that you could not see it at double the height. Well, the International Space Station is about the same size, and it's 50 times farther. And people think they can see it going by, reflecting light. Everyone can see it. This bright light. It's reflecting light like it's its own light, okay? And then to make it worse, people think they can see satellites that are even farther and smaller, okay? That's ridiculous, okay? And when you try to reflect sunlight, it flashes. If it's moving, it's only going to reflect into your eyes for a second, right? How the heck does the International Space Station, which I call the International Fake Station, look brighter than any object in the sky other than the sun and the moon? It's brighter than any star, right? How the heck is that even possible? And I'll tell you how. It's not possible. It's not at all. But people just believe, because belief in what we've been taught before we can talk is, it's comforting. You were taught the earth is a globe before you can speak. You were reinforced with that, with everything. Then we had the moon landings, all the cartoons, all of the kids programming, Sesame Street, Disney. They have astronauts on. It's all to make you believe you live on a ball. Why? To control your manifestation abilities, to shorten your wavelength, to keep you in fear by turning on the news. You turn on the news, let me tell you something. It's going to give you cancer, okay? The news gives you cancer, right? Clear thought keeps you healthy. Expansive thought lets you use the resources that you have. All of the people in the world could live in Texas. all of the people in the world, if the number that they're telling us is true, which I don't even believe, can live in Texas. The world is not overpopulated. We're not running out of water. We're not running out of food. We live in a place where you can stick a seed that's 100 years old into the ground. Water will fall from the sky and food will grow out. We're not running out of food. We're just running into idiocracy where people are trying to water things with friggin' Gatorade.
All right, cool. I've got a question to challenge that then.
Go.
So based on what you said previously in regards to obviously the out of Earth and obviously the Atlantic and all the other stuff, you said earlier on that you believe that what did you say? Like aliens or whatever could possibly exist, but on the outer skirts of the.
Do you believe?
The
Wait, let me answer that, and then you can continue. Do you believe that if you were allowed to fly over Antarctica, then there was water again, and then there was an island that somebody could be living there? Do you believe that that's a possibility? Of course you do, right?
Yeah.
That's an extraterrestrial. They're coming from land.
Then again, some lands are inhabitable, though.
Well, that's what. How do you know? You don't know. You haven't been there. You haven't been there. Okay.
But if something can't grow on that land, then how
do you know? How do you know? There's some people that believe that there's other suns out there that are the sun is it could be the same sun reflecting out there through its firmament. Maybe our sun is way above the firmament and there's all of these little firmaments all over the place, and the sun just goes around and it goes around all of them. And we can do experiments that show you how that works. And it makes the sun rise and set and disappear the same way. Right?
So, but that's still not proven to the point that if you haven't, like you said, yes, scientific proof, and obviously what we see from the TVs and everything, social media, this is what we've been taught. But there's no proof to say there's been aliens, and there's no proof to show there have been
100%. Aliens. I'm with you. I believe.
So then,
I believe that there's extraterrestrials, but that doesn't prove the shape of the Earth.
That still doesn't prove to say, but then that's proof to say that you don't know.
I don't know. I told you that.
Based on scientific proof.
I'm not saying that aliens are scientifically provable. I'm telling you what's more likely, that if we prove that there are extraterrestrials, that they're coming from a couple thousand miles away on the other side of some other land. Very easy, very logical, very possible. Or they're coming from a distant star. Let's do some simple math. Very simple. Clear your head.
I would believe that they're coming from somewhere distant, to be fair.
Someone distant in outer space, right? In outer space.
Yeah, I would believe that, yeah.
So hold on. So let's talk about that. Do you know how close the closest star is, ignoring the sun? The closest star in your heliocentric world. Do you know how close it is? I didn't. I'll tell you if you don't know.
No,
it's 4.5 light years away. So the closest star is 4.5 light years. The other ones are magnitudes farther. So let's say there's aliens on a planet circling the closest star, what you believe to be a star, 4.5 light years away. That's 25 trillion miles. So let's talk about how far a trillion miles is. Okay. Mm-hmm. If you were traveling 1 mile, I'm going to show you something too. I hope you can answer this question. Most people can't, because they haven't taught us to think. It's the easiest math question ever. If you're traveling at a mile per second and you went for 1 trillion seconds, how many miles have you traveled? What? I'll say it again. You're traveling at 1 mile per second. Let me make it easy. I'll give you a short one. If we're traveling at 1 mile per second and I travel for 2 seconds, how many miles have you traveled? 2 miles. So if you traveled for a trillion seconds, how many miles have you traveled?
Obviously a trillion
miles, obviously, right. Okay, so, and have you ever traveled at that speed of 1 mile per second? No.
I'd like to say, yeah, but
nobody has. Nobody has. So let's say you want to go to this planet and I got you in a spaceship and it's going 1 mile per second and you travel for the first trillion miles, which is 1 trillion seconds. You're 1/25th of your way to the planet because it's 25 trillion miles away. You with me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long in time is 1 trillion seconds? If you guess it correctly within a day, I will give you 10 Bitcoins.
Oh, say that again, sir.
How long in time is 1 trillion seconds? Don't say 1 trillion seconds because you'll be right. How long in time? Guess in days.
Yeah, I'm spun. No,
Oh,
I don't know.
I'll say like a billion.
Yeah.
It's 31,000 years. Okay. So
Okay,
1
okay.
trillion seconds. 1 trillion seconds is 31,000 years. So if you were traveling at a mile per second for 31,000 years, you are only 1/25th of your way to the closest star, which is scientifically probably impossible to see or exist.
All these figures are from a human point of view, which what you can comprehend.
Well, you just fold space
aliens.
and then you're there. You know,
I'm just saying.
Here we go.
I'm just saying anything is possible. Like what I'm saying is that I'm not gonna say it's scientifically provable or anything like that, but
so to get over this distance issue, time
is different in space, or time and distance. Sorry, is different.
And my answer to that is cool story, bro. Okay, because that is not science. That is not science.
That's not that.
Right. That is not science. And listen, thank you for not getting mad when I put on the glasses, because when I talk to Glovers, sometimes they really freak out. But that's a cool story, and I have to put on the glasses. I'm sorry, it's just the way it is.
No,
all right.
So Dave, you about 20 minutes ago, you said that you were in the Caribbean and you looked up and you saw
lights.
Stars at the sky, or you saw lights.
Satellites.
You said. Satellites. Stars. Yeah, you said.
What are they?
What's your explanation for when you look up in the sky? You're in the Caribbean and it's a clear sky, and you can see what we are known to be stars. Those lights. If we can't see planets and they're too far away for our human eye to comprehend, why is it that we can? What are we looking at then, from your perspective?
We're looking at lights that are fixed within the sky. So remember all those motions I showed you that we're spinning, twirling, whirling, going in all these different directions at once. So I want you guys to do this experiment. And I did this as a kid when I thought the Earth was a spinning ball. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Okay. I got a pipe and I literally nailed it to the side of my house in a tree. My mom was very upset because I actually put a nail into the house. And I looked through the pipe and there's Polaris, our North Star. And I was so cool that Polaris never moves, right? We're doing all of these motions, traveling 4.5 billion miles a year. And somehow Polaris never moved from that pipe. I looked through it in the winter, in the summer, anytime the stars were out, boom, there's Polaris. It never moves. Okay. I defy you, go to your car, rig up a pipe looking at Polaris, and then move your car. Not 4.4 billion miles, maybe just 1,000 miles. And you tell me if Polaris is still lined up in there. So you go out tonight at any time, sit down and draw a little chart of the prominent star shapes that you see, where it is, relation to that tree or that house or that pole. And then next year, go out on the same night at the same time, and every single one of those stars will be in the exact same position. So what are the stars? They are fixed within the firmament. They never change. The firmament spins around above us, and it shows us the stars keep track of the seasons and the years. Okay, so if I show you the sun goes around the Earth once a day, and the stars spin around slightly faster than the sun, and that way the sun remains in each constellation for about a month. Next month, this constellation will catch up to the sun, and it'll work its way through there. And the next month, Capricorn it'll be in Capricorn. And so that's how the sky is a perfect clock. That's how it works. It doesn't change. Spinning out of control is not a possibility.
All right,
not
cool.
a possibility.
One question then. You see your image that you got right now, and it's moving.
Yeah.
What course is the sun going towards? If it's in a state
what's
of
causing
motion.
what's doing this?
No, where did that? See that image right now. Obviously, the Earth, the sun, everything around it is in a constant motion and it's going forward.
Yeah, you want to know the explanation for this?
What's the proof to say that it actually is going forward? How do you know it's going forward?
Thank you. Welcome to Flat Earth. It's not. This is what they tell you. You have to believe that this is going on in your world. You have to believe that this is happening. You believe
are in a fixed
position. Hold on. You believe you live here, that you're traveling 4.4 billion miles in one direction. You're going 186 million miles from one side of the sun to the other every year, that you're speeding up and slowing down, that you're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. When you watch the sunset, it's not setting. That's crazy. You're falling over backwards faster than the speed of sound. Okay? Falling over backwards faster than the speed of sound when the sun is clearly just moving away. It's moving away. This cameraman is not falling over backwards faster than the speed of sound. Go ahead. Guys, we have to wrap this up in like 5 minutes. I'm late for another show, but
I was just even
going
to say, yeah, just even with the sunset thing, from what I remember, for me, the sun doesn't get smaller; it goes lower. Like with your experiment, it showed that the object was getting smaller as it got further. That's not what I.
Well, it depends on where you see the sun. If you're in Afghanistan where there's no moisture and a clear day, there's a soldier filmed this. The sun does get smaller and smaller. It's moving away, and then it goes behind a physical land horizon here due to perspective. Other times it goes behind a cloud horizon, but other times, depending on the weather situation, the sun never sets. It just can't push through anymore, and it fades out. For this example, this is over dry land. I filmed this from a drone, and the sun, in 5 minutes' time, it went down, 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 down. If the Earth was spinning, it would just keep on going, but it didn't. It went down, 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 and it stopped. And it sat here for 10 minutes. It never went down farther. And instead of dropping down, it just got a little smaller and smaller, and then it faded away to nothing, right? It never went down. But if you put on a solar filter, you wouldn't even be able to see this. It just faded. It's still there. Here it is again. It's still there. It just faded away. I filmed this 7 different times. All the videos are in the app under Where Does the Sun Go? Okay. Guys, go ahead. Final questions?
Cool. No, I was just going to wrap it off on an overall verdict. Yeah. So, guys, you've heard Dave. He's shown his evidence to say the Earth is flat. So, based on everything we discussed, obviously, I know that we can go on for hours and hours on end. Are you not convinced?
No, do not be convinced today. Do not say you're convinced, or I will lose respect for you.
Okay.
What you have to do, hold on. Listen. What you have to do is say, Dave made some points, and I have more research to do. I'm not going to make up my mind today. Please do not make up your mind today. And if you Google Flat Earth, you are wasting your time. This app, the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, will feed you all of the stuff. Don't buy the app. Just go to the App Store, the Google Play Store, and read the reviews. Okay? Read the reviews, because then you'll buy the app. All right? It's $3. You have it forever. It'll show you where other flat earthers are around you. It'll show you all of the videos. Every question that you have is in there, and all of the videos explaining it. And don't believe the videos. Go test it yourself. I'm pointing at a bunch of doors that you guys never saw. Now that you know the doors are there, now you know the questions to ask. Now you know the experiments to do. And now you know that the word science isn't science. Okay? Science is science, but the word is not science.
So based on that, then, I'm going to change the overall verdict. Has Dave opened your mind to the possibility that the Earth could possibly be flat then?
I think Dave made some very interesting points. I just think I'd have to go away. I think I'd have to spend a few more hours hearing out Dave. And I've got a few more questions regarding zodiacs, but that's another.
You know what? Let me. I told you I'd show you where this video is in the app. If you hit the little web button, the spider web button, up comes this page with all these different resources. In the middle, it says the lost history of flat Earth. You open that up, hit open YouTube, and the top video there. It's 7 parts in one video. So what I say is watch one part at a time. And you won't do this, by the way. Watch one part at a time. And just say, I'll watch one part each day for the next 7 days. I won't turn on the TV. And what will happen is you'll be 10 minutes into this thing and you'll never turn it off. You won't turn it off. You can't turn it off. It's actually impossible to turn it off once you start watching it. And then at the end, you better have something to clean up your brains, because your head's going to explode and it's going to be all over the floor. All right. So that is my pitch. If you want to jump into Flat Earth, that's the way to go. Or just hit the frequently asked question buttons and watch the short videos on stuff there. Or check out my YouTube channel for free, DITRH, the initials for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. My website is Flat Earth Dave is the easiest thing to remember, flatearthdave.com. Guys, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
And make a good thumbnail or I'm going to make one for you. Okay.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, there you go. That's the end of the show. I want to say thank you for Flat Earth Dave for coming on, bringing some knowledge. I hear that podcast. Sean, Aaron, thanks for coming on. The links on the bio will be on both both the channels. So yeah, man, like and subscribe and hit up their channels.
All
right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
See you guys. Bye.
See you later.